Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Caravan of Garbage, where we're talking video game movies.
Old video game movies. We love them.
Yeah.
Remind me, did we like the last one? Double
Yes,
Dragon?
a lot.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
It's good to know that I
Nostalgia.
like that. I do like that.
Think about how we spoke about it last week.
Colour and life.
That wave of familiarity is just washing over you.
I do like that. Fond memories.
And had that medallion that turned you into a ghost.
Yeah.
Anyways, this week, please leave a like because we're talking about 1994's Street Fighter.
A lot of people are loving this one. I would say people love this more than Double Dragon.
Definitely.
Well, I mean, nobody remembers Double Dragon.
Or likes it.
Or likes it. But this is a cult classic, I think.
I like this movie.
Interesting.
Does it do most things wrong? Yes.
Yes.
But it is interesting.
Yes?
I think it's an interesting movie, even in all of its faults and a bunch of very strange behind-the-scenes stuff, including drug addiction. We'll get into it.
Let me ask you this question. If they removed the Street Fighter characters from this and just replaced them with generic guys, would it really be any different?
It's funny you say that because as I was watching this, I was like, this is a G.I. Joe movie.
Right?
Because it's Cobra and bunch of people in different costumes, not doing street fighting.
There's very little street fighting, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's some cage fighting.
I mean, not with the main characters.
There's a street shooting.
Yeah.
A man is gunned down in the street and he's fighting for his life. Except he's not fighting for his life because it's a
fake
ruse.
out.
I don't know. What do you like about this movie, James?
Okay. Oh, I just want to say, this was pitched by its director, Stephen E. D'Souza, as a G.I. Joe movie.
There you go.
So he went to Capcom and he was looking through like all the artwork and everything, and he found this piece of material which was M. Bison's base, and it's got submarines in different compartments and layers and whatever.
Now,
and
but
went,
what did Capcom have to do with G.I. Joe? Was he just snooping around the Capcom headquarters?
No, because they wanted to make a movie.
A G.I. Joe movie?
A Street Fighter movie.
Then what's the thing with the G.I. Joe thing?
Because he was like, I'm pitching this as a G.I. Joe movie.
To Capcom?
Yeah, I'm making a
Capcom?
I'm making a G.I. Joe movie with Street Fighter characters.
Oh, because I do remember they did have the toys.
Yeah, that's right.
There were Street Fighter G.I. Joe toys.
I had a Ryu or a Ryu. How do you say it?
I say it different every time.
Yeah,
to
good.
annoy people.
They do in this movie too. I just want to also shout out, the reason I know that is because there's this amazing Street Fighter documentary called Here Comes a New Challenger. Oliver Harper's got an incredible YouTube channel which people should check out, but he also makes the occasional doc. And it's just a very in-depth look at the origin of Street Fighter as it started as, you know, the oft-forgotten Street Fighter 1.
Rubber buttons.
Rubber buttons which you mash down through to like all the iterations of Street Fighter 2 and beyond. They talk a lot about this movie in it. I'll link it below.
Would you say it's more in-depth than what we're going to cover here?
100%. I'll link it below. You can stream it. You can buy a physical copy. If you have any passing interest in like video games or fighting games or Street Fighter specifically, it's great.
Buy a physical copy, then download this video and burn it to a VCD and put it on the same shelf.
That's right.
They're perfect companion pieces, in my opinion.
Bookends.
That's right.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, he pitched it like that and not as a tournament movie. He's like, I don't know if that's really going to work. I mean, Mortal Kombat did a tournament movie and that worked for the most part.
And then the new Mortal Kombat movie didn't quite get to the tournament.
No.
They never quite got to the Mortal Kombat, did they?
They're going to get to it this year, Mason. So, the director of this you might know because he's more known as a writer. He wrote 48 Hours, Commando, The Running Man, Die Hard, Die Hard 2, Judge Dredd.
Wait. Oh, the Stallone
Stallone
Judge.
one, yeah.
Okay, right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense, honestly, yes.
Yeah. Speaking of bookends, I feel like this and that go together.
Yeah.
Really. But yeah, they had to run all of this through Capcom because Capcom were a co-financer of the film. And so every element of the production required their approval. And due to numerous setbacks, I'm going to talk about a whole lot more, they were constantly behind schedule when shooting in Thailand. It also shot in Australia.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Kylie's in it.
Kylie Minogue's in it, mate.
Kylie Minogue's in it.
She acted 2 or 3 times in her life.
That's right.
Yeah, well, she started on Neighbours, obviously, but yeah.
That counts as one. That only counts as one.
That is true. Stephen E. D'Souza employed something called the old John Ford trick, where because he was behind, he kept tearing pages out of the script.
Do not compare yourself to legendary film director John Ford.
I'm not, Mason.
This guy is, okay. Yeah, working on Street Fighter was exactly like, I'm John Ford, basically.
Yeah.
His spirit left his body when he died and it went into me, and then I made Street Fighter.
Yeah. So he would tear pages out of the script to get back on track, but then, of course, during editing, they were like, oh, there's a bunch of stuff here that doesn't mesh together or is gone
It's almost
completely.
like there's multiple pages missing.
Yeah. Like the fight at the end where they finally have the showdown with Vega, that was reshot in Vancouver because at the time they didn't have time to film the cage fight.
Okay.
So things like that. Also, it explains why Chun-Li and her friends get captured, and you just are told that through satellite imagery.
Right.
Because I guess they didn't film that either.
Uh-huh.
How do you feel about the fighting in this, though?
It's better than Double Dragon, I'll give it that. Some people are clearly better than others. Some people were hired for their look, as opposed to whether they're better, at martial arts.
I mean, Van Damme, and he had massive problems around this time, which again, I do want to talk about. I mean, he's just very athletic,
Sure
like,
is.
you can do all those kicks.
Biceps for days.
Biceps for days. American flag, biceps for days, Mason.
That's exactly right, yes.
What's more of a delt? Doesn't matter. We won't get into it. I will say this of this, though. At least some of the people look mostly like the characters in the game some of the time.
Some of the time they do, but also it's like they've just assigned the characters from the game to random jobs.
Yes.
In the movie world. Like, Guile, military guy, sure, M. Bison, he's the bad guy. But then it's like, what about Ryu and Ken, two guys who travel the world as famous street fighters? They're just sort of small-time con men, I guess.
Dealers,
yeah, they're just
sort
that.
of.
What about Chun-Li and E. Honda and Balrog? I mean, they have some fighting skills, but they're a news crew.
Yeah.
Balrog's famously a bad guy. Why is he on the side of the good guys? DJ's a good guy, but he's on M. Bison's team.
Yep.
Dr. Dalsim?
Yes.
I mean, maybe he's a doctor, but I know him mainly as the stretchy yoga fire guy. He doesn't do any stretchy yoga fire stuff. In fact, nobody does anything.
No.
Nobody does any of their signature moves. Here's a list of signature moves, James.
Yep.
Ken does a sort of dragon punch.
Yep.
He sort of does an uppercut. I think maybe one of his feet leaves the floor.
Okay.
At one point, you see Ryu do like a 2 open-handed punch, and there's kind of a flash of light, and it's like, is that his fireball?
Yeah.
E. Honda never does his 100-hand slap.
No, he doesn't.
That would be, do it like that, and
Yeah.
then you speed it up.
Vega does his roll and stab.
He does do a roll and stab, actually.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Guile does his flash kick, but without the
Without
flash.
the flash.
It's just the kick.
Yeah, that's right. Without
Yeah.
his friend, the Flash, being there.
Well, there's a reason for that, Mason.
Chun-Li doesn't do anything, really?
No, you got to be doing a hurricane
This
kick.
came out after Street Fighter 2, the animated movie. Did you know that?
Well, that is true, but I can't imagine there was much cooperation between these two productions.
Oh, absolutely not. Well, maybe there was, and maybe maybe they had to call dibs. Maybe the animated guys were like, we're going to use all the cool moves and the cool character designs. We're going to have the characters do accurate things to their video game counterparts. Oh, so you called all that. Well, we'll do just unrelated stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
Also, you said earlier Capcom had to approve all of this.
Yep, correct.
They did they?
They did.
Crazy. That scene in that Jackie Chan movie where he hallucinates his
Yeah.
Chun-Li, that's more accurate than this.
Yeah, I mean, that's in that documentary I mentioned.
Yeah.
So the stunt coordinator on this, Charlie Pacerni, which I think is how it's pronounced, or maybe it isn't, he filmed most of the action sequences to save on time. And he thought the moves in the game weren't realistic.
Okay.
And that became like a conflict between him and the director. Is like, well, if we're doing this, we need to put their moves in because that's the only thing that people know about these characters.
Okay, but I'm assuming the same dibs system occurred here, and Charlie went, how about I call dibs on them not doing anything?
Maybe.
Interesting.
Maybe.
And Stephen was like, oh, I guess so.
Well, Kylie Minogue's stunt double does that Black Widow flip around the head
Yeah,
thing, sort of.
okay,
Really slowly.
I guess that's a move from the game. Sure.
Somewhat, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I think Ming Na Wen is good in this. I enjoy her a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I also like how none of the actors in real life bear any kind of... There's no racial similarities. It's just completely scattershot. Like E. Honda's from
Hawaii,
Hawaii
I
or
think,
whatever.
yeah.
And it's just... Look, that's neither here nor there, I
Okay.
guess. But it's just strange that they didn't go... I don't know, do you want to get a Japanese guy to play Ryu or Ryu as it were? And they nearly did, and they ended up casting him as like a minor Street Fighter character.
Captain Sawada.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
Well, not a minor Street Fighter
Minor
character.
in this.
No, but a character they invented for this. Captain Sawada's new for this movie. He wasn't in a prior version of this. So that actor... Kenya
Yes.
Sawada,
Yeah.
he's a famous Japanese actor, and Capcom wanted him to be in this
Oh,
movie
okay.
as Ryu, but they'd already cast Byron Mann.
Yeah.
So they're like, let's invent a new character for this guy and give him 4 lines of dialogue.
I agree.
And he's in the movie game. He's in Street Fighter, the movie, the game.
Oh my God, we should talk about that. Let's talk about that now. So they
Okay.
digitized the movie characters. They got most of the actors, depending who was alive.
Kylie Minogue.
Kylie Minogue was there. They got Van Damme for like 4 hours, and they did the Mortal Kombat method of taking images of them and then, keyframing it together so you're making a kind of a realistic animation. But they weren't allowed any of the Street Fighter source code, so it plays badly.
Sure.
The arcade more so when it came to home release.
Is that because Capcom just got tired of working with them?
I guess.
Yeah.
But the home
maybe that's a trade secret thing.
Maybe it is, but the home release fixed a bunch of that, apparently.
Okay.
Not a beloved game. I think it's interesting that they did it, but...
I think the guys making that game should have just gone and bought one of those weird arcade bootleg versions where you can just hit select and change your character mid-game. And
oh, yeah.
Remember where you could do that?
I do remember that,
all these bootleg versions, you can just be air fireballs and et cetera.
And so forth, yeah. I think Vega looks incredible.
He looks pretty good.
God, he's looking good. I look at that and I'm like, oh, you could not nail that.
No, that's a good look.
More.
Yeah, that's a good look. I also love that there's a scene where he goes to prison and he's in prison for like an hour and he makes his own sort of homebrew clawed gauntlet.
And also immediately gets it kicked out of his head as well.
Yeah.
But then you've got people like Blanca, or monsters like Blanca, who get turned into a Blanca monster because of VR and DNA mutagens.
And Dr. Dalsim.
And he doesn't even crouch into a ball and do electricity, Mason. Okay, but I do want to talk about, and I can't believe it hasn't come up yet, Raul Julia as M. Bison. Mm-hmm. Amazing. I know everybody knows this, but just playing it completely straight. Mm-hmm. His kids were a fan of the game. He was also dying of stomach cancer when filming this. And, you see in the action sequences, often it's him or he's up on wires or whatever, not strictly. So it's pretty incredible. Apparently he was great. Like, he was amazing to work with. Incredible lines, the day by...
All I want to do is create the perfect genetic soldier. Not for power, not for evil, but for good.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
The village, and it was a Tuesday or whatever.
Yeah.
That's his plan, is to kidnap the queen at some point.
That's right.
He just casually mentions that.
Yep.
I appreciate that he put so much into this because he took traits from like various dictators across the centuries to work into this performance. And it's like, you don't have to. But he did.
You could have just stood on your X and said your lines and got somebody else up on the wires.
You could have Jeremy Irons Dungeons and Dragoned it.
So true.
But you didn't. No shade to Jeremy Irons. You gave that movie the exact amount of attention it deserved.
That's right.
Also, obviously, this was his final performance, Raul Julia.
That's
so,
true.
Very sad. But I don't know. I don't think it's the worst thing to go out on, honestly.
Probably not. Bit of
you
fun.
You couldn't look at this and go, he sucks. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people misinterpreted at the time also some of the funniest stuff as being dumb. Like, the line about change the channel when the truck is crashing.
Yes.
I think that's a funny
that's fun. That
line.
was good. Zangief is like, when they see the truck full of explosives about to crash into the... Yeah, okay, that's fine.
I mean, talking about a guy who looks like a guy in the game.
He does look like Zangief. I mean, if you were recasting these days, you'd get the guy on Reacher who's a bigger Reacher.
Bigger Reacher.
The guy who's bigger
than
than
Reacher.
Reacher.
Could use Reacher. He'd be Guile. Which I think he was rumoured for.
Might be.
I don't know, yeah.
When he's finished being Batman.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotham is mine.
Anyway, this whole thing was a disaster for a number of reasons. Here's something from a Polygon article. A crew member required medical attention for skin irritation caused by contact with the water in the Chao Phraya River. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce anything. The line producer suffered a heart attack and never returned to the production. Another producer, the one in charge of the film's completion bond, unaccustomed to driving on the alternate side of the road, turned into oncoming traffic and collided with a bus, sustaining serious injuries. He also never returned. Later in production, an actor was busted at Australian Customs for possession of steroids. I can't find who that was. But there's only a couple of very muscular people in this movie.
So true, isn't
but
it?
I couldn't tell you specifically which one was busted with steroids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Regardless, welcome to the Stallone Club.
That's right. But speaking of, so Jean-Claude Van Damme in this, he had a drug problem at this time and was apparently doing $10,000 worth of cocaine a week.
Damn. In Australia, that's one bump of cocaine.
It is. God, it's expensive here. I've never done it, but I have friends who do it, and I don't know why they're throwing all their money away on it.
Let's ask them.
Yeah.
It's a video interview with one of your friends.
The studio had to hire a wrangler to keep an eye on him, but apparently that person was also a bad influence. He would call in sick, be late to set. They'd have to film things like around him. Though apparently his physical performance was just top notch. You could get him to do a sweep kick over a person's head or whatever. He was in incredible shape. Mm-hmm. I guess he was also fueled by cocaine.
That's true, yeah. Hey, Jean-Claude, can you do this? Absolutely, I can. I'll do it 100 times in a row.
Kylie Minogue, on the other hand, people loved her. Said she was...
How much cocaine did she do?
I don't know. It doesn't say any. Apparently she was very professional and generous. She would buy drinks for the entire cast and crew during the shoot. And again, Raul Julia, incredible to work with. brought a lot of levity and gravitas to the movie set.
And not just in that flying suit he had.
No, exactly.
So much levity and gravitas in that.
Oh my God, I loved how much levity and gravitas. I had a memory of this that he got magic powers at the end, but he doesn't have magic powers, does he?
No. Nobody has magic powers. They should have given everyone magic powers.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like there's magic in Guile's speech to the UN. They're not the UN, but
I think you're wrong.
they're an international team.
I think there's no magic in that.
You don't like the magic?
Also, I love the fact that he was just like, what is that treason? What is that?
Yeah, because the pencil pusher's like, you can't go to war with them, Bison. And
he's like, actually, I'm going to go to war. I'm going to use all this military equipment on all these soldiers that I don't own.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go to war on my own behalf.
Regardless.
Yeah. Is that terrorism? Depends whether we win or not.
That's right, and they did. But just watching Van Damme in this, he's just not a good actor.
Oh, no.
Don't you think?
In this or just generally?
I would say in this specifically.
Yeah. You say JCVD? It's good.
Yeah, I know he's good in that, but it's not a good... I mean, it's entertaining.
Yes.
But it's not... He doesn't fit this at all. It's not...
Yeah,
his cadence is so strange.
Yeah, and it's interesting, of course, because, if you were to say... who would be the lead in a Street Fighter movie, I would say Ryu. But obviously, they were like, this is going to the American market. Guile's the American character.
I think people would have been fine with Ryu and Ken.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
If they weren't arms dealers.
When they get the costumes.
Yes.
I mean, everybody has those costumes. Yeah. They're in a room of it.
That's right. Who gets a red one and who gets a white one?
Good
How
question.
do you decide?
I think the final showdown in this is, all in all, pretty good. I like again, it's a reshoot, the Vega versus Ryu happening.
I didn't like that. You know why?
Why?
Because Vega and Ryu are traditionally not rivals. You know who are traditionally rivals? Ryu and Sagat, who are in the same room.
Didn't he give him his scar or something?
Yes. Which you never see because that guy never takes his shirt off.
He does at the end, doesn't he?
No, Sagat doesn't.
I thought he was shirtless at the end.
Was he?
I thought he did get the scar.
I don't remember.
I'm not remembering much either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good movie, though.
I love nostalgia.
All right.
Just thinking about
I'm
us
just
talking
saying they
about
should have
this.
switched. They could have invented a rivalry between Ken and Vega or
They're
whatever.
all rivals, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they wanted to do the Ryu rival because they were going to have a cage match, and then they didn't because a tank came in. A big missile on it. And he went, you're all under arrest. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, it's funny. It seems irresponsible, though. Yeah, I'll just drive this tank directly through a wall. Yeah, there are 2 nuclear warheads on the top of it. Yeah, I'll just use those to punch through a wall. It's probably fine.
We know this guy likes war crimes.
Yeah, it's true.
He's loving it.
He's loving it.
God, and just him fighting Bison, who's flying around the room with magic magnetic shoes and shooting electricity. It's just nonsense. It's so funny. And then I just love at the end how Dalsim turns up just looking like he does in the game.
Right.
He just rolls in bald with that ring around his neck. And
Which is normally the skulls of his dead children.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I guess they can save that for the sequel.
They could save it for the sequel, yeah.
Which they nearly did. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, they all do the Street Fighter pose at the end.
They sure do. They all do their win poses, yeah.
Fantastic stuff, all in all.
Yeah. Because they're supposed to be reacting to the explosion that's happening.
Yeah.
But Cammy's just like, he's one of these.
That's how I react to explosions. Anyways, you know what it's time for?
What's it time for?
Trivia 5
Nice.
This is the trivia section of the show. Did you know that Kylie Minogue and Jean-Claude Van Damme had an affair
Whoa.
on the set of this?
Okay, but who was married at the time?
I think Van Damme was.
Okay.
No, I know Van Damme was.
Well, then Kylie Minogue technically didn't have an affair then, did she?
Good point.
Yeah, she's in the
She
clear.
wasn't married to Jason Donovan? Was that only in Neighbours, the TV show?
That was only in Neighbours. That was a fictional marriage. And that dog that got hit by a car didn't really get hit by a car.
Buster or...
Bomber or Bouncer?
Bouncer.
Yeah, it was shot in the head instead.
Good.
Yeah, but... Yeah. Anyway, the People's Princess in the clear.
Agree.
Jean-Claude Van Damme, shame on you.
Well, he was asked about it a few years ago and he said, yes, okay, yes, it happened. I was in Thailand, we had an affair. Sweet kiss, beautiful lovemaking.
Sweet kiss, beautiful lovemaking. Hell yeah.
It would have been abnormal not to have had an affair. She's so beautiful and she was there in front of me every day with a beautiful smile. Simpatico. So charming. She wasn't acting like a big star. I knew Thailand very well, so I showed her my Thailand. She's a great lady. Kylie Minogue.
That's actually very nice.
Kylie Minogue never commented on this.
Oh, right, okay.
It also might not even be true.
He might have made it up. He might have invented it in a cocaine haze. He kissed a Kylie Minogue that he
I was
made
gonna
of
say,
cocaine.
was it a stunt person?
Might have been the stunt person.
Not to throw somebody else under the bus.
Maybe he kissed a Super Street Fighter 2 machine.
He might have.
Because that's the one that had Campy in it.
It did. Ming-Na Wen, who played Chun-Li, said that she cringed after seeing the finished film for the first time and told her then ER co-star, George Clooney, that she feared her career would be over. Clooney remarked, "Oh, honey, it takes a lot to kill a career. I should know," hinting at his role in the critically panned Return of the Killer Tomatoes. And also, he did Batman.
And he did The Flash.
And he did the Flash. Oh, the Flash.
Yeah.
I fucking hated the Flash.
But I also
Mason.
love the Clooney's. Clooney's got a little line for everything, which I love. You know?
He's ready to go.
Yeah. Oh, honey. Oh, honey. George Clooney says this.
I think we talked about this when we covered the Mortal Kombat movies, but Jean-Claude Van Damme turned down the role of Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat to do this film, which I think they wanted him for the game initially. Weren't they going to build the game around him?
I think they were, something like that, yeah.
Finally, he got to be a digitized man.
Yeah.
In this
He's
game.
not been in, and it's Carl Urban. He's going to be Johnny Cage in the upcoming
that's right.
sequel,
Yeah. According to an interview with MTV, Jean-Claude Van Damme was originally offered the role of Guile in Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li. That's what he says. Again, I don't know, man. I mean, that's not related to this, at all.
No, it's the characters there, but they're all played by different people.
Yeah. Some of the characters.
And also, you dodged a bullet there, JCVD.
That's way worse than this
one's
one.
worse somehow.
Maybe we'll look at it.
Yeah.
The last video in this series is up for grabs. And this is fun, Mason. Fabio was considered for the role of Vega, but he wasn't fast, agile, limber, acrobatic, and flexible. So he couldn't do it.
Wow.
Also, that seagull flew into his face on the roller coaster.
That's true. Ruined his beautiful face.
He's still
not
beautiful.
allowed to be Vega anymore.
But he's still beautiful, isn't he?
They could have got Sean McAuliffe as Fabio.
They could have.
Here he is.
Great reference, Mason.
Thank you.
Anyway, the box office for this, on a budget of $35 million, it spiraled a bit, but it did make 99.4.
Okay.
Profitable. And not only that, merch did really well. Home rentals exploded. Home release was good in general. There were 2 soundtracks, and it still makes money.
Okay.
This movie was highly successful, even though they paid Van Damme $8 million. He said that this kind of tanked his career, because after that, for the next movie he was in, he wanted to match Jim Carrey, who was getting $20 million a movie.
Okay.
And they were like, "You're not worth that."
Right.
And then his career just went in a different direction from then on
Wow.
out. So there was, I should say, talk of a sequel. Which,
Well, of course there was,
Yeah, because it did well enough. But I think people kind of made fun of it. It wasn't beloved.
Well, they're not doing that anymore, are they?
No. We've got other things to make fun of. Eventually, of course, we did get the reboot in The Legend of Chun-Li, and there is a reboot in the works at the moment. Which is coming out in the next couple of years, maybe, depending. I know they lost directors. But of course, like you mentioned, there's animated stuff. There was an animated TV series, which was G.I. Joe-esque.
There's a bunch of video games. I don't know if you know.
How many?
So many, too many.
There's 19 versions of Street Fighter 2.
There is.
And they're all the same, aren't they?
No, James.
They're all the same.
They're not.
I think they're all the same.
That's a ludicrous thing to say.
Ludicrous?
Madness.
Don't mind if I do. Here's one of his songs.
When I was 13.
We can't?
No, we can, for legal reasons. I don't think.
You know him, though, don't you?
Yeah.
And he wouldn't.
He doesn't like me personally.
Oh, but you do
He
know
knows me, but I don't...
I guess if he didn't know you, he might like you.
That's what
but
I'm
I
saying.
have met you and I get it.
That's exactly right. Anyway, what do you think? What do you think? Of the two big name fighting game adaptations, which do you prefer, this or Mortal Kombat, the first one?
I think this is funnier. They're kind of hard to compare.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat is just like a straight shot
Yeah.
at Mortal Kombat. And I have fondness for it.
Yeah.
But I think the camp element to this really wins it over. And the fighting, despite everything that happened, it's not terrible. It's better than Double Dragon.
It's better than Double Dragon. Well, when you put anything through the lens of, is this better than Double Dragon, I suppose.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of, do you know what we're doing next week?
I actually don't know.
Here's a hint.
I could fly this thing and cook you breakfast.
Quit showing off. All right.
Apparently it's terrible.
That's great for us.
Agreed. And again, that last video we're doing, the 4th one, is still up for grabs.
So if people want to put in the comments what we should...
But if you do want to see any of these videos early, you can actually head over to bigsandwich.co, where in addition to early videos, we do video game Let's Plays. Oh my God, so many.
So many.
We also do movie commentaries where we talk over the top of movies. We do
So many.
So many. We do bonus podcasts. There's literally thousands of hours of stuff there, exclusive if you do want to check it out. It helps support the show and keep it ad-free. And also our podcast, The Weekly Planet, where we talk movies and comics and TV shows. That comes out there early on Sunday as opposed to Monday. But if you want to listen to that, it's on its own YouTube channel, Spotify, Apple, etc., wherever
Everywhere.
you can find it.
So many places.
Anyways, thank you so much to Ben for the edit.
Thank you, Ben.
See you on the next one.
Grab that gem, you guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done a huge big fireball on you.
I'm doing the Kylie Minogue pose.
Well, too bad. It's not fireball proof, is it?
I don't want it to be.
Well, good. You're dead. Now you're dead.
Good.